My mother is as close to hurtful as can be without using physical pain as a tool. Emotionally and psychologically, she derives pleasure from inflicting pain on others, and her kids are her favorite target because, for years, we were stuck under her power without a way to escape. Genuinely, nothing makes my mother happier than emotionally shattering a person just for fun. I cannot understate how cruel she is. She laughs uncontrollably when she retells stories of human suffering, including her friends' children suffering because of her actions. My brothers are all aware of our mother's nature, and we all agree she is inhuman and that we had to escape home to be free from her. But all my brothers also believe in the idea of, she's our mother, we are tied to her for life, and we owe her everything, which our mother made sure to teach us throughout our whole childhoods. Of all us siblings, I am the only one who's financially stable. I own a successful company, while my brothers range from unemployed to waiter, and I am the only one who doesn't ascribe to the dogma that mother equals sign goddess. Our father died recently, lung cancer. The whole family was reunited yesterday for the first time in many years, for the wake. My father was the sole breadwinner in his marriage. With his passing, Mom will be in dire financial straits. She is in her early 70s and in good health, so she probably has a decade or two in her still. And at the wake, she was inconsolable because of fears for her future, sobbing, asking what she would do with the house, with the cars, etc. My brothers all tried to comfort her and promised to her that they would financially support her until the end, make sure she never has to move out of her house. But Mom continued to cry, saying that none of my brothers could afford it. And then she turned to me, the only kid who wasn't promising to help her. I laughed to her face and told her that if she intends for me to be the one paying for her lifestyle going forward, okay, I will. But I'll only pay for her to stay in the worst retirement home I can possibly find. Cue a lot of offended screaming from my brothers and a whole lot of sobbing from my mother. There's also the fact that my whole life, I heard you are being defiant now, but you will cry and regret your behavior once I'm dead, from Mom when I refused to allow myself to be her victim. I loved my father a lot more than I ever loved my mother. And when Dad died, then during the wake, I didn't shed a tear or honestly felt even slightly bad. The only emotion I felt was annoyance that I had to tolerate my mother's presence, not a single crumb of grief or regret regarding my late father. I think Mom noticed that. She used to fundamentally believe that I'd mourn her, but realizing that I am not even mourning my least hated parent, she had to face the reality that no, I will not regret one thing when she dies. I eventually went home early because I was so sick of being berated by my whole family and told that I have duties towards my mother, that I'm the only one she can rely on financially, blah, blah, blah. To the end, I held strong that no, I would not spend one single coin to keep Mom in her house, and that if they counted on me to pay for anything, I would only pay for the cheapest retirement home in the country, and not one extra cent. After I left, my older brother tried to call me and get me to apologize, saying that Mom needed our help now more than anything since her husband just died, and that he understands that I was abused growing up, but Mom is old now. We cannot hold on to that grudge forever. To which I said that I'm not holding on to it forever, only as long as Mom's alive, but she won't be for very long. Brother started screaming insults at me, so I hung up and blocked his number. This morning, I woke up to 2 texts from my other brothers basically saying the same, saying Mom is deeply distressed, that she hasn't stopped crying in hours, to please call her and apologize, promise I'll subsidize her lifestyle. I didn't reply to either text. Am I the idiot? I genuinely don't think I am. I think my brothers are kinda stupid and brainwashed with Mom's dogma on children's duties towards their parents. What do objective observers think? Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1. Not the Ashley. Being upset over being abused by a parent is not holding a grudge. I hate it when people say that. I had an hurtful childhood and have been diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD, because of it. It is incurable, and all you can do is learn to live with and thrive despite triggers and trauma. It's something you have to be aware of and vigilant about your entire life, and you can't just get over it. Yes, you can have a beautiful life. But it's not like one time your mom yelled at you and you won't get over it. I think you should go scorched earth. Block them all and never talk to any of them again. Comment 2. Not the Ashla. She earned this response from a lifetime of harassing you. I would never subsidize her lifestyle. As far as I'm concerned, she is lucky you would even support a nursing home. I wouldn't even do that. I would not help her until all her assets were gone, and then I would do what you said you'd do. I'd find the shittiest care home far, far, far away from me. This is the hill I would die on. Your trauma-bonded brothers can help her. Keep her. Keep that glowing spine. Keep her and anyone who supports her out of your life. This internet mom is proud of you. Now for the update, hey everyone, it's been a wild couple of weeks since my last post. Thanks for all your support and advice. A lot has happened, so buckle up. After the wake, things were tense with my family. My brothers kept pressuring me to financially support our mother, but I held my ground. I told them I'd only pay for the cheapest retirement home, nothing more. They were furious, but I refused to budge. Then, out of nowhere, my oldest brother showed up at my office. He was a mess, crying and begging me to help Mom. Apparently, she'd taken a turn for the worse. She wasn't eating, barely sleeping, and had become a shell of herself. My brother said he was scared she might do something drastic if I didn't step in. I was torn. Part of me wanted to tell him to shove it, that Mom had made her bed and now she had to lie in it. But another part of me, the part that remembered the good times with her, however few and far between, couldn't bear the thought of her suffering like that. So, against my better judgment, I agreed to talk to her. I went to the house and it was worse than I'd imagined. Mom looked like a ghost, pale and gaunt. She barely acknowledged me when I walked in. We sat down, and I braced myself for the usual manipulation and guilt tripping. But instead, Mom broke down. She apologized for everything she'd done, for all the pain she'd caused. She said she knew she didn't deserve my forgiveness, but she begged for it anyway. I was stunned. In all my years, I'd never seen my mother so vulnerable, so human. I realized then that beneath all the cruelty and spite, there was a deeply broken woman who had no idea how to love or be loved. I told her I couldn't forget what she'd done, but I was willing to start fresh. I offered to pay for her to see a therapist and to help her find a small apartment near my brother's. She agreed, and for the first time in my life, I saw genuine gratitude in her eyes. It hasn't been easy, and there have been setbacks. Mom has a lot of work to do on herself, and my brothers and I are still learning how to have a healthy relationship with her. But we're taking it one day at a time. Looking back, I realized that my father's death was a turning point for all of us. It forced us to confront the dysfunction in our family and to start the long, painful process of healing. It's not going to happen overnight, but I'm hopeful that we're on the right path. Thanks for listening, everyone. It means a lot to have your support through all of this. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. My date expects intimacy on the first meet and questions my virginity. So I expose his stalking past to the entire coffee shop. Update. Edit. Thank you for all the replies, advice. I have decided it's probably not a good idea to do a second date. It seems like the consensus is that it's not normal behavior. In the future, now I know to be firmer with my boundaries. Also, it's kinda scary how many people are saying he's dangerous. Glad I left when I did. For those who think it's fake because of my baseball analogy, I just like baseball. 21-year-old female, met a guy, 22 years old, at a coffee shop, and we agreed to go on a date. 3 days later, we meet up, and he sits me down and says something about his expectations being that we will be having intimacy relations while getting to know each other. I am not sure what to say to this, because I thought dating did not involve intimacy. Or at least that you get to know them for a couple dates before having intimacy. After this, he stands up and gestures to grab his hand, so I did, though I didn't want to, and we walk to a restaurant. He changes his mind about this place and wants to go to one across the street instead, and gestures to hold his hand again. I say no this time, and he says why not. I don't want to. I barely know you, and it kind of makes me uncomfortable. Sometimes we have to do things we're uncomfortable with so that we can grow. I didn't listen to the rest of what he said, but at the end, he hugs me, and then his hand goes down my waist and he starts to rub my butt. I didn't like this, so I just grabbed his hand to hold it, and we walk across the street to another restaurant. While we are waiting for the food, he beckons to sit in his lap. I again said no, and he asks why. I don't want to. Why not? I barely know you. You need to be more cooperative. I don't know who your last boyfriend was, but I'm not him. I haven't had a boyfriend before. You don't need to lie to me. I'm not lying. What do you mean you haven't had a boyfriend before? Why not? I don't know. Whatever your last man did has nothing to do with me. Why did you even bring this up? You brought it up, but I'm trying to tell you I haven't had a boyfriend before. I brought it up because of how you're acting. You've had intimacy, right? No. You don't need to lie to me. I know you have. We're adults here. I haven't had intimacy before. Why not? Haven't you had a boyfriend? Why didn't you have intimacy with him? I haven't had a boyfriend. You're not a virgin. Yes, I am. How can you be a virgin? Why haven't you had intimacy before? I want to have intimacy when I have a boyfriend. So why didn't you? I haven't had a boyfriend. So you're a virgin? Yes. After this, he has this incredulous look on his face. He kind of laughs and shakes his head like he couldn't believe it. Like his team was down 1-4 and someone hit a walk-off grand slam with 2 outs in the 9th inning. I told him to have a good day and then I left. Later, he texts me and says, I don't want intimacy. I want a connection. I just couldn't believe that you were a virgin. I think we can get past this. Let me plan a second date and change the experience. It kind of seems like intimacy is important to him. But maybe I was wrong for not wanting to hold his hand or sit on his lap because maybe I am just not aware of the expectations regarding affection or bodily contact that is expected on a first date. Also, I feel like it's not uncommon to be a virgin at 21, but maybe I overreacted by leaving when he kept asking questions because I felt interrogated. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, he sounds like an absolute creep. You need to think about where you want to set your boundaries. Don't settle for hand-holding because you're afraid he will try something worse. It gives him mixed signals that you take his hand right after he grabs your butt. Comment 2. Definitely not the jerk NTA. You are not compatible. You don't have to meet his needs given that you just met him. He will surely just take advantage of you. Better run. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a week since my last post and a lot has happened. First off, thank you for all the replies and advice on my previous post. It really helped me gain some perspective on the situation. So a couple days after my last post, the guy texted me again asking for a second chance. He apologized for how he acted on our first date and said he realized he came on too strong. Part of me wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling I had about him. I ended up texting back politely declining another date. I explained that I didn't feel we were compatible and wished him the best. He replied with a bunch of angry messages, calling me a tease and accusing me of leading him on. It was really unsettling and made me glad I trusted my gut about not seeing him again. But here's where things get even crazier. A few days later, I ran into a girl I knew from high school at the grocery store. We got to chatting, and somehow the topic of dating came up. When I mentioned the coffee shop where I had met the guy for our date, her eyes went wide. Turns out, she had gone on a date with him too. She told me he had acted super inappropriately with her as well, pressuring her for intimacy and getting angry when she refused. But that's not even the worst part. Apparently, this guy has a history of stalking and harassing the women he dates. My high school acquaintance said he wouldn't leave her alone after their date, constantly texting and showing up at her work uninvited. I was shocked and honestly pretty freaked out. It made me realize how dangerous of a situation I could have been in if I had agreed to a second date with him. I'm just so grateful I listened to my instincts and all of your advice to steer clear. The whole experience has definitely made me reevaluate how I approach dating. In the past, I think I've been too worried about coming across as rude by firmly saying no or leaving an uncomfortable situation. But now I realize how important it is to prioritize my own safety and well-being. No date or guy is worth compromising my boundaries for. At the same time, I don't want this one bad experience to completely taint my view of dating and relationships. I know there are good guys out there who will respect me and my choices. It's just a matter of being cautious, taking things slow, and really getting to know someone before jumping into anything physical. Anyway, that's the gist of what's been going on this past week. I'm still processing everything, but I'm feeling a lot more empowered in standing up for myself. Thanks again to everyone who commented with support and advice. It means a lot to know I'm not alone in navigating the wild world of dating. Here's to hoping my next date goes a lot smoother. I'll keep you all posted. Thanks for reading. My wife skips out on supervising the cleaners to go on a road trip with friends, so I cancel her birthday plans. But then I see the error of my ways, and we work on our marriage like adults. My 30-year-old male, wife, 31-year-old female, and I have been together for a total of 5 years. She works from home and I work from the office. I was sent by my team across state lines for a week and was set to return on Tuesday. Now, this weekend was extremely crucial for one of us to be there as the landlord was sending professionals to get the vents cleaned out. Currently, the temperatures are fine and we don't need AC, but soon we will. Also, the next time the professionals will be available through the landlord will be several weeks from now, and by that time, summer would have already rolled in. I had requested my wife to stay put on the weekend I was going away, because the landlord was doing it free of charge, and if we were to hire professionals ourselves, we would have to pay a couple $100s. It's important for us to get the vents cleaned, since one day when we turned on the AC, there was a horrible smell, maybe a rat died in the vents, and we quickly closed them and have since been opening the windows. I was out of state assuming the vents were cleaned out. When I returned, my wife said that she was invited on a road trip by her girlfriends, and she couldn't say no as she hadn't seen them in a long time. I was furious at her for being so irresponsible. I told her that the extra cost for getting the cleaners now will be deducted from her fun money account. We have 3 bank accounts, our 2 individual accounts for fun money and 1 joint account, but she absolutely refused, saying that I get to go out and have fun and beers while she works from home and she deserves an outing and didn't think of saying no. Edit. We both had agreed she would supervise things, and she never let me know she went out with her friends. I never gave her orders. But this was an important job to fix, and I wanted her to act like my partner for once. This caused an argument, but no resolution, and she kicked me out of our bedroom. This made me more mad than her refusal to pay in full or stay home. I felt emasculated for being kicked out of my own goddamn bedroom, and that too for 3 nights. Her birthday was also coming up in a few days, and I had managed to score some tickets for a musical theater performance in our city. They are fairly exclusive, and she was looking forward to us going, as she's a big fan of what they were going to be performing that night. I disinvited her, and she flew into a mad rage. I told her that these are the consequences for what she did. Prioritize a road trip and kick me out of our room, and what she didn't do. Stay home for the professionals and agree to compensate from her fun money account. Instead, I extended an invitation to my other friend, who happily accepted, and we went. Even on her birthday, she took the time and effort to dress up and present herself to me, and casually asked if we were supposed to leave by now. It's almost as if she forgot what happened, still thinking I wouldn't go through with what I had said I'd do. I shrugged my shoulders and said she's delusional for even thinking that. I left the house with her looking paler than ever. It was oddly satisfying. When I came back, she was crying but still looked like she was seething. She screamed at me for ruining her birthday over a few $100s and said she can never forgive me for what I did. I reminded her that she kicked me out of our room, and how can she expect me to be nice to her? And that I was glad to know she was miserable all day. Did I go too far? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Everyone sucks here, dude. Do you like each other at all? What is this tit for tat? Does Info actually have work? If so, she can pay for the vent because that is a household necessity, and it's not like you were going out to party instead of work. You should not have ruined her birthday, though. You could have just given her the tickets and not gone with her. Also, that's your bedroom, and she was in the wrong. How are you going to get kicked out from your own bedroom in a house you contribute to? Comment 2. What a crappy marriage. This sounds like a game of retaliation. You sound condescending and dismissive of your wife, and both of you seem unable to act like adults. But in the game of who is capable of freaking the other more, you win that. If this marriage goes on, this will come up in arguments for years to come. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for reading my update. It's been a tense few days since my last post, and I've got a lot to share. After the whole birthday fiasco, my wife and I barely spoke for a couple of days. The tension in the house was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I thought she'd eventually come around and apologize for her behavior. but boy, was I wrong. On the third day, I came home from work to find her sitting at the kitchen table with a serious look on her face. She told me she'd been doing a lot of thinking and realized that our relationship had been on the rocks for a while now. She said my controlling behavior and lack of respect for her had been wearing her down, and the birthday incident was the final straw. I was shocked. I tried to argue that I was just trying to be a responsible partner, and that she was the one who had been disrespectful by prioritizing her friends over our home. But the more I talked, the more I realized how wrong I'd been. You see, I've always had a bit of a temper, and I tend to lash out when things don't go my way. It's something I've struggled with since I was a kid, watching my dad berate my mom for every little thing. I swore I'd never be like him, but here I was, treating my wife like she was beneath me. As I listened to her talk about how she felt suffocated and unappreciated, I started to see things from her perspective. I realized that I'd been so focused on being the man of the house that I'd forgotten to be a good husband. I'd been dismissive of her feelings and quick to anger, just like my dad. I apologized to her right then and there. I told her I was sorry for how I'd treated her and that I wanted to do better. She was skeptical at first, but I could see a glimmer of hope in her eyes. We spent the next few hours really talking, like we hadn't done in years. We both aired our grievances and made a commitment to work on our relationship. I promised to go to therapy to work on my anger issues, and she agreed to be more communicative about her needs. It's not going to be easy, but I'm determined to be a better husband and partner. I know I've got a lot of work to do, but I'm willing to put in the effort. I love my wife, and I don't want to lose her. Looking back, I can see how my behavior was rooted in my own insecurities and fears. I was so afraid of losing control that I ended up pushing away the person I loved most. It's a hard lesson to learn, but I'm grateful for the wake-up call. I know we've still got a long way to go, but I'm hopeful for the future. We've started couples therapy, and it's already helping us communicate better. I'm learning to express my feelings in a healthier way, and she's learning to assert her needs more clearly. It's not going to be a smooth road, but I'm committed to making this work. I want to be the kind of husband my wife deserves, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. Thanks for reading, everyone. I appreciate all the support and advice you've given me. It's helped me see things more clearly and given me the courage to make some much-needed changes in my life. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!